friends, and welcome back to another episode of The Convenor. I'm MH3. I mean, legally, I'm supposed to be Mark Harrison. That's what it says on my driver's license. But, you know, I love to be MH3. And here at The Convenor, we love to have great conversations with people about purpose, about passion, about people, obviously, about how we run our organizations. And today we're going to go down a really interesting path and talk about a new approach to leadership. And I have my friend Sina here joining me. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. It's great to see you. And I'm going to kind of, at some point we're going to get into the specific detail of who you are and your background and title and all the rest of it. But we're going to have a conversation today about coaching. And I am very curious to know who coached you early in your career. Who was that person, that pivotal moment, who maybe pulled you aside and told you something that you didn't know about yourself, or maybe helped you understand some of your superpowers?
Yeah, I am so fortunate that I have been surrounded with amazing mentors. I would not be sitting here with you if I didn't have these mentors. And it started with Valley Bowman. I was sitting in the accounting department doing a lot of troubleshooting. She was a COO. She came in within her first month and she picked me out of that department and she said, "Come with me, watch everything I do, and we're going to go get some stuff done."
Why did she pick you? Come on, I need to know that. That's an amazing story. Why?
Yeah, I think she realized I was maybe a little bored. I would heckle people as they would go by the hallway.
What?
I had.
How do you heckle people in the hallways?
I know, exactly right. Because I'm in accounting, people would just, they just try to walk right by me. And I'd be like, no, we have things to talk about. So I created pretty good connections across the company. And the COO, wanted to really change things up. So she put me in her office.
Okay.
She made me go with her to every meeting and sit there, no matter what it was on. And so all the strategy sessions, all the bringing in new partners, all those negotiations. And she just said, pay attention. And then eventually she said, "I'm not going to this meeting, you are."
How? Like, so from the day she plucked you, and it sounds like she physically, did she set up desk up in her office for you to sit, like you were physically in her office?
Yeah, she said, this is where you sit now. Okay. And she said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I guess so. Let's do this."
What was the time frame from the day she plucked you and got you to stop heckling people going by to the day she said, "All right, Sina, you're on your own"?
So that took probably about different things, but 6 months to a year, depending on what it was. Like first, she just started saying, "Oh, I'm double booked. You have to go lead the sales meeting," right? Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of kept building, and she was basically just testing me, see how it goes. So we would debrief and carry on. And actually, a lot of the partner relationships that she introduced me, I still have them. Like our graphic designer, our marketing partner, I met her, Valley Bowman, and that's over 15 years ago. So she taught me how to partner with people.
Besides the heckling, and she noticed you, at some point you must have asked her why.
So her response was, and I feel kind of vulnerable admitting this, she just said that it's hard to teach strategy, but you get it. Mm-hmm. So that's why you're here.
So she had that instinct.
So, mm-hmm. And I think it was a test. I mean, she could have sent me back to accounting. They were still happy to get me back.
Right.
So, but the way I embraced it, because it was really so hard, how intense it was, crazy things happen. And I would have to be in the middle of those very uncomfortable conversations. And she had a policy, I couldn't email her. I could only email her once a day. So I had to put everything in that email.
I like this policy.
Text her. Yeah. I could only email her once a day. She said, "Put it all in there and I'm going to respond to all of them. You can text me if it's red hot and you need something right now."
Okay.
And we go to lunch every week for 2 hours. And that's when we get our work done. What's going to be next. So I
Amazing.
had to be super organized, super on it. I put a lot of effort into that one email I would get a day.
Yeah. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen anybody as a leader do that in any other circumstance, the one email a day? Because I think it's pretty genius to say, I'm going to make sure that the person is, you got to prioritize, right? Because I assume that email could only be a certain length. You got to figure out things on your own because maybe it can't wait till that email is sent and then received and replied to. Have you ever seen another leader do that?
I have never. She just held me to a very high standard, which prepared me for things that came after that. Yeah, it was amazing, and it was hard, and I'm super grateful because yeah, like there was no, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? It was, this is what I need some help on. This is what's outstanding. This is what I'm pretty sure I'm on it and I have the right direction. And then sometimes she would be like, why can't you move it forward?
Right. Sometimes she'd push back.
Yeah. And so then that's our lunch, right? Well, what's really in your way?
So let's fast forward to today. And maybe the folks that haven't gone online or checked out your LinkedIn profile or looked at your company's website, maybe give us what's your mission today? What's your role in the world? Tell us what you do. Give us, it's okay to be kind of like, give us the fundamentals before I keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I do want to mention that after that, I met Greg Giuliano, who I met Deborah Bowles and Pat Newman, who took me under their wing. I was managing their business. I was director of operations. And then they're like, Deborah was like, do you want to do what I do? Because she's a coach. And I was like, hell no, I would never do that. And then they kept telling me that I was coaching them. And I was like, they're smart people, right? They can't be like just shining me on. So eventually I listened to them and I said, okay, I'm gonna go get some coach training. So that is kind of how I ended up here, how I ended up in Whistler last year, meeting you and all the folks at Base Camp. To get here, so my motto is really all about service, but I have high expectations of the people I work with, and that really is my service. Yes, I do it through coaching, but just like Valley, Deborah, Greg, and Pat have held me to a very high level, that's my service.
Awesome. So let's tell people just the fundamentals. Who's Ultra Leadership, who you and Greg are, and then we're going to get into some other questions about how you serve and how you lead and more conversations about coaching.
Yeah. So Ultra Leadership, we are a leadership development company. We actually, you're probably familiar with Greg's books. Recent books are Coaching for a Change, and he's coming out with Ultra Leadership 2.0. And it's really working about how do teams get work done and really optimizing how they work together by process, but also the dynamics, the human dynamics of what it takes to really accomplish big things together.
Right.
And that takes work, and it takes discipline, and it takes processes. And that's what we're about.
And I, not paid to say this, but having read the first book, and we're going to talk a bit today about your grade 8 framework. I know that I immediately, I wasn't even finished the book and I started applying some of the things that I learned. So Ultra Leadership, obviously, as you said, it's interesting. You went from being in operations to being a coach because you were coaching. When you look at organizations in the world, or leadership structures, are there groups out there besides where you work, where you go, you admire what they do and how they bring leadership to the table every day? Like, who do you look at and say, and it can be an organization you want to name, or it could be a client that you want to talk to, but maybe generically. But I'm interested, just, I know myself that I often look and go, I love what they do with that brand, or I think that company is very purposeful. Who does Sina look at and say, they're doing it well?
Yeah. We're all in the leadership business. It doesn't matter what your business is. We're all in the leadership business. My focus is always, what I'm drawn to is those that are in my community. to the ones that I see in my community.
Right.
It's as simple as Ace, right? Every community I live in, there's an Ace hardware store where I can go and meet people that live. They know vendors, they know the area. That's where I recently moved within a year. That's where my mom went. She was referred to a church, right? She found, and it wasn't someone that worked there. It was just, she had a good conversation with someone in the store and found her church. So I'm always drawn to those businesses and brands that are in my community. I'm on Upper Cape Cod, so
just making everybody jealous there, aren't you?
Yeah. And especially right now. If it was winter, no one would be jealous. But for July, everyone should be jealous.
I might not publish this podcast till January now because you said that.
That's right. Then no one will be jealous.
Yeah.
But it can be a very kind of tight boating, like a little exclusive boating community. And we found a community boating center out at Pleasant Bay. And I was just blown away because every time I would get on the dock, you could see the actual community was there, from special needs to the blind to kids to adults, like all these different types of people that live in this area or come to this area were there learning to sail, getting on the water, and they're doing their best to get everyone out there safely and fulfill so many dreams, actually. So something that's hard to access in some ways, they make it available to the community.
I absolutely love that.
So it is my, I would say my husband and I, is our happy place to be, just because it is so, you're just surrounded by the community and everyone wants to get on the water and they're all helping each other and it's available to everyone. Amazing. You don't have to be a member. Mm-hmm.
I love that answer. I think that, often when we're having conversations, whether they be in formal meetings or in this sort of setting, we often forget about the things that really make us smile, which is community, which are those moments. And somehow, somewhere, whether it be in that ACE store, in that sailing club, the volunteers, in your community, there's some great leadership, right? And whether or not that is something that somebody is come to naturally or they've had support, I absolutely love that answer. And I'm trying to think about the right segue to kind of get into kind of what you do, but I'd love for us to just spend a bit of time chatting about, I think what's interesting about the way you and Greg approach coaching is it isn't, kind of the stereotypical coaching. So maybe we can just start there and talk about how your thesis around everybody can be a coach, what coaching should look like in an organization. And then we're going to dive into kind of your grade 8 questions. And then, depending on whether or not I feel like being exposed to the world, I might actually let you, run me through it, which is kind of how we met.
Ooh.
But I'd love for you, maybe let's start with kind of some of your, I know some of your core principles around about coaching, that when people hear that coaching word, they think of something that's time consuming and organized and almost like going for like a physical.
Yeah. And 2 years of schooling, right? That's what I've done. 2 years of schooling and thousands of hours and all of this. This is coaching for business results.
Okay.
And you don't have to go to school for 2 years to coach your people.
Okay.
And it's really the only way you can scale your business, because no one can do it all. No one can it doesn't matter how brilliant you are and how much you can do, you shouldn't be doing it all. And the only way to really empower someone else to do that work is to coach them. And we try to make it as accessible so you can start coaching right away. And I have a few stories about people like, they just learned, just like we were in Whistler, right? They just learned, they had their coaching card and they're just reading the questions, and something tremendous happened that shifted that person and their relationship to their work and what they do. That has huge impact for the company and for the person, because we get so much meaning from what we accomplish at work. Like our identity's tied up into that. So being able to coach and really get the potential and let people live their potential, really give them the opportunity to live their potential.
You said something there was
it's a game changer.
Vital to every leader, which is that you can't scale your business if you think about, the tiers of school and you're going to do it one by one. So maybe can you just double down on that? That got me really excited. Double down on that bit for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't give everyone a list of 20 things and expect, everyone has their list of 20 things and we're working on those 20 things. You can't really expect the business to move forward. So one of my favorite things about the coaching framework is that you'll see what is the best possible outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And we spend time there. So we're not talking about you need to do these 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we are looking to accomplish this,
Mm-hmm.
which is maybe it could be something simple like our projections are done 2 weeks ahead. We have our projections. We're not working on them on the final 48 hours before we go live, right? We have them done a week ahead of time. Something as simple as that everyone can get around and understand and start to understand their piece to accomplish that outcome.
Right.
So that what are we here to do in a micro statement or larger statement? And people can organize, and you end up organizing your work around that. It just one person giving out the list of the 5 things everyone should be doing and to report back. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Love that.
And it's kind of demeaning too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the more people I work with, the more people I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so smart, right? They're just so smart. They don't need a list. Can I just jump ahead to this one
jump ahead.
story?
Do whatever you want. Jump ahead.
Story?
I know
Okay.
you're sitting on stories, so jump ahead. This is a free-flowing conversation. This is your conversation.
Great. Because this happened recently.
Okay.
So it was, we were in a workshop. We were teaching these tech leaders. They don't have direct reports, but they were tech leaders with 25, 30 years experience. They know what they're doing. And they're in charge of large projects, getting teams together. And we just handed them the great coaching cards and led them through what a coaching conversation looks like. They were paired up for 10 minutes, just like we did in Whistler.
Mm-hmm.
This person who'd never coached anyone before is using the questions. This tech leader is here, and they get to this point of what's in your way. And it ended up that this person the person being coached, thought he had to wait for someone's direction to move forward. It was really a peer. He thought he needed to wait on them. For this 10-minute coaching conversation unlocked that. I don't have to wait on them. I'm smart. I know what to do. I can move this forward. I can make things happen. So fast forward after that conversation, 5 months later, I talked to him. He's like, my job, 95% of what I was doing 5 months ago is someone else's work now. I do 5%. I'm heading into a meeting where I'm rolling out a new product that I've already tested.
What a feeling.
So, yeah. And he's so happy, so happy. It just took 10 minutes. He got it. I don't need to be doing all this stuff that I can do really well. That is now time for me to teach, mentor, and coach someone else to do. Leave some lots of brain space to work on a new products, new innovations. So it was just a 10-minute coaching conversation by not a professional coach. Right. I was there to monitor, right. To make sure they're not problem solving and all of that. Just I'm there to keep them on track, but they're the ones doing the work. It was this moment where you're like, yes, you imagine happening. You have a team of 10 people and all of them have some sort of shift like that. It's
scale.
It is. That's how you scale. Yeah.
So we keep alluding to
it.
You and I met a year ago in Whistler.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast was for you to take everybody through the Grade 8 framework. You and I coached each other. Mm-hmm. As I've told you, you unlocked some amazing things in me, which we're not going to spend time on today because this podcast is for the audience. It's not about me. But, what I will say is I'm the testimonial because I felt it. So what I'd love for you to do right now, and I think you've got your card there, is maybe just take folks through the framework, the grade 8 questions, the arc. And then, like I said, I'm going to volunteer myself as a guinea pig. I'm still debating which one, but I brought a couple of new challenges to the table today that I'm going to ask for your help on, so we can make it real. But first, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay.
There's no timer here. Take as much time as you want. Walk us through the framework.
Okay. Great. Well, first, why there's a framework is because we are so used to problem solving. Like, we just can't help it. Someone asks us a question, we want to answer it or give them advice or dig into the details. Mm-hmm. So the reason we have a coaching framework is to keep you in coach mode. Mm-hmm. It's a way to help you self-manage. So if you remember in Whistler, we had 10-minute coaching rounds, and I said, you're brilliant and you can't give advice. You don't have time for that. You have to stay in coach mode and see what happens. And at the end of that 10 minutes, I asked who all, gave advice, and, about half the room, right? Mm-hmm. They were just, they couldn't help it. So just know that these coaching questions are training wheels. Eventually you make them your own and you get your own flavor to them, but the arc stays the same. The purpose stays the same. So that's why we use these. It's a way to get going. And the first question is, what's going on? Because that's just how you enter the conversation. Get them to say everything that's going on that they want to talk about. This is also a chance to, you're going to start getting, you'll start picking up themes like, are they stressed? Are they happy? What's going on? And of all of those things about what's going on, I think one of them, they're all important questions, but what is the best possible outcome? Mm-hmm. Is what that gets you start thinking about, why are we even having this conversation? This is what you use. It can be, what's the best possible outcome for this conversation that we're having in 10 minutes, or the best possible outcome for whatever this problem is that you're bringing to the session. It's also, it's a way to just start getting them living in a different, a solution place. And you might refine it as you go along. So it's not like you have to my stake in the stand. This is the best possible outcome. And then what's in the way? Why is this a problem? What's in the way? What's going on? This is your chance to, for that one leader, that one tech leader, what's in the way was he thought someone was above him and he needed to wait for permission.
Right.
For someone else, what's in their way could be they don't want to give someone feedback. And we all have someone that we work with that we probably have some feedback that we just are waiting for the right moment to give them. Right?
Yeah. My inbox is filling up right now with people I work with.
That's
going,
right.
Mark, I've got some feedback for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a chance for the coach to maybe to give some feedback. I had someone show up and I was like, what's going on? They gave a ton of things. I said, well, that's all your regular work stuff. That's not even, I don't understand what you're stressed about. It ended up, he was stressed because he had feedback he was sitting on. He didn't want to give it.
Right.
He didn't want to feel uncomfortable. What was in his way? He didn't want the uncomfortable place of giving feedback.
Right.
And so we practiced it. So after what's in your way, could be something internal. It's usually they name a person, right? It's usually some person is in their way.
So easy.
Let's
blame Bob.
Right.
Poor Bob.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's Bob's fault.
Bob is such a problem. So there's usually something in the way. You might spend a little time on that. And then what absolutely must happen for this best possible outcome? Here's what's in your way. What absolutely must happen? And this is where we're starting to get into what are some ways forward? What are your best options? You could give the feedback. You could not give the feedback and hope it goes away. You could give the feedback poorly and it ruins the relationship. You could give the feedback well and it you see a change. You can just quit being a manager, get yourself out of it at all.
Right.
So there's all these options, and then so out of all those options, what's your best option, and how are you going to move forward?
Hopefully not
What is your
advocating the responsibility isn't their best option, right?
Yeah, right. And will that get you to your best possible outcome?
Yeah.
Your best possible outcome might just be having a highly functional team. Sitting on feedback is not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might need to be making some scores, right? Some production scores. Sitting on feedback isn't going to help that.
Great.
So I think, and then ending with what will you do? Like, what is your simplest, best next step? And how can I help? So one thing about coaching that I think gets left off a lot is those final pieces of what are you going to do,
Mm-hmm.
by when, who's your accountability partner? It doesn't have to be the coach, it could be someone else.
Right.
And how do you want to be followed up with? So without that piece of accountability at the end, I think that's what gives coaching, it's a soft, coaching is this nice, easy conversation, but the accountability piece is what makes it, this is how we work together. This is like our pinky promise of what we're going to do. And that's what moves things forward.
I think a lot of people,
That's the coach.
I love it. I think a lot of people, to your point, think that coaching's just soft, or it's a hug, or like it's like a shrink without the doctor, right? Like it's just, I'm gonna go and tell you my problems and complain about Bob, and then I'm going to go away and come back in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Or they think it's a remedial conversation, right? Oh, someone's coming in to coach me. It means I have something's wrong with me. Mm-hmm. It's not that. I mean, and so a typical conversation with Greg and I, right? I'll come to him with, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I'm thinking. And then he'll pause and just say, well, what do you want to do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's your choice. Yeah. What do you want to do? And I mean, I'm a coach and I still have to have that person just reflect back to me. What do you want to do? It's your choice to do it. And saying it out loud to Greg or someone else, then I'm like, okay, now I'm moving forward. But I just need that reflection back to me.
Every changemaker has a vision for something better. But turning that vision into action takes clarity, strategy, and the right story. This episode of The Convenor is sponsored by Humanity, a marketing leadership partner built for purpose-driven organizations. We help changemakers bring clarity to their vision, confidence to their message, and momentum to the change they're here to create. Learn more at humanityagency.com.
Of those 8 questions, and you touched on a little bit, is there, and now it's kind of like choosing between, friends or children or types of pie. I don't know why I brought up pie, but is there one of the questions?
I love pie.
Yeah. Is there one of the questions where you're like, this is like the most pivotal or most important, like that people really have to, like, is it the what's in your way getting real, or is it something else, or is it the action at the end? Like, what's the, and it's okay if there isn't, but is there one where it's like, if you don't do this, if you don't answer this question, the rest of it's irrelevant?
What's the best possible outcome?
Okay.
Why are we here?
Yeah.
What's the best possible outcome? Because if you don't have that, you're just, I'd call it circling the airport, right? You're never going to land. You're like, and it might be a fun conversation, but you're just not going to land anywhere. So what's the best possible outcome? What does good look like? What are you trying to accomplish? Anything that sets like, why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? And sometimes it's implied. A lot of times it isn't. And so think about like a complainer coming to, here comes the complainer, da, 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 da. And you just want to get out of the conversation, or you're like, you kind of block it out, or time's over. Just ask them, what do you want from our time together?
Right. Yeah.
What do you want? Like, do you want me to hear your complaints? Because I can do that. I'm not going to act. What do you want from our time together? And that changes the onus back to being intentional about our time together, what you want. And honestly, a lot of times complainers get shut down because that person thinks that the complainer wants them to do something. That's not always true. It's like their way of getting out their like, oh, all these things are going on, right? And none of them are right. It's not necessarily, they're not even asking you to do something, but you just assume that because they're complaining to you, they want you to fix it. It's not always true. So asking, why are we having this conversation? What do you want out of our time together? And what is the best possible outcome from this time together? I think that, without that, it's just hanging out.
I have a story.
Okay.
After reading the book and going through that with you, I have a young leader who's amazing. And she was giving me, I'm not going to quite call them complaints, but she kept raising issues. Everything was an issue. And I didn't understand it. And the old me would have said, buckle up, buttercup, get down to work. This is how it is. And finally, I said, can we book some time? And I actually asked that question. I was like, I'm a bit confused. I don't want to really kind of go through those point by point, but I did use the what's going on. But the thing I really stressed and the big question we had was like, where do you see this going? And what I realized was she was unclear on, back to your point with the technical folks, she was unclear on where I wanted to make the decisions and where she could make the decisions. Yeah. And because her reporting relationship, which isn't direct to me, it sort of changed, but there's a reason for us to interact. She was sort of using some old assumptions from a former leader. And so what I realized was when I actually went back and even looked at her emails or her comments or things she said in meetings, I was probably inappropriately assuming they were complaints. They were comments masked. They were questions masked as comments. Mm-hmm. And so when we got to the place of, to your point, what's the best possible outcome? She just wanted clarity. So now we have a beautiful little chart. Here's what you get to decide. Here's what I get to decide. Here's where I want to have some input back to you. And now she's like, oh, it's kind of like, when you're a young kid and you're learning how to drive, like she can drive on the city streets. She can't drive on the highways yet. Right. But she can drive on the highway if there's an adult sitting in the thing with her. So now it's like, oh, she can tool around the city all she wants and she doesn't have to check with me. And it's been amazing.
Yeah. And how much less, by having that boldly going into that conversation with her, how much less time, you just cut a bunch of time out of what it would take to accomplish something, right? Like this is the clarity. Now she can do stuff without you, without running it by you. That's how you scale, right? That clarity.
The real win for me was I wasn't walking around at night going, I really adore this young person. They're super talented. What am I missing? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm the prototype for the day.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Let's do this. Yeah. What's going on, Mark? Or MH3? What's going on, MH3?
So as you well know, our conversation, which we had in Whistler about a year ago, was pivotal for me to kind of even be doing this podcast because you talked a little bit about what you saw in me and my strengths, and I was sort of what I thought were my strengths. And where we wound up was this place where you said, Mark, you're a connector. And so I've now decided that the third chapter of my career is going to be about connecting different people to help them solve problems, help them understand where they can belong to something bigger. But all that being said, I haven't actually rolled this out to the organization yet. So here I am on a podcast, which is going to go public, which may or may not happen before that. And what I'm worried about, or I'm worried might be the wrong term, is by launching this thing called the Convenor and this platform, which I'm looking to help folks, will people understand how they're going to benefit from it? Or will it be, oh, Mark's abandoning us? And as you know, we have a few different businesses. And so what's going on is I feel like I'm on the diving board and I kind of want to go back to the beach and wade in when I really know I should dive in.
Yeah. So what does success look like? What will success look like?
I think
let's make it even easier. What will success look like at the end of this conversation together?
This conversation?
What do you want? Mm-hmm. What do you want?
Well, I think think what I'm hoping for is that you're going to ask me enough questions that the answer that's probably down here in my right or left elbow, actually waved my right elbow when I was referring to my left. It's probably in there. I probably, for some silly reason, I'm not tabling it. So I'm hoping that you're going to work your magic with the right questions, but in the end, I suspect the answer is going to come out of me.
Okay. And what do you want? What is your best possible outcome as the convener, the connector?
I think the best possible outcome is that this new platform that we've launched benefits all of our different ventures. We've got a children's charity that helps reduce barriers to education. We've got a sponsorship conference series. We've got a great consulting business. We've got a brand agency. And one of the things that I've been struggling with is when I travel and people say, oh, what do you do? Because people love to jump to what do you do, right? That, they don't need to say hello anymore. It's like, what do you do? How much do you make? How much can I make off of you? But I find it very clunky to explain what I do. Oh, I've got this little operating company and blah, 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 and these different firms. And people look at me and go, that seems like a lot and I don't understand the connection. So my hope is the convener is going to be the one thing I talk about, and that the reason for it to be is going to be clear to folks. What I'm hoping the outcome for the people that are in all those different ventures, and whether or not this podcast will air before I've told them formally or not will be interesting. But I want them to say, that's actually going to help me because, at the end of the day, everybody is interested in what's in it for them. And I think they should be. Like, I don't think that's a criticism.
Yeah. So it feels like you're already there.
There in what way?
And that you have created the convener. You have created the connection between all your businesses.
This is an AI? This is an AI? That's fake?
Yeah. I'm curious, what is the gap between what this best possible outcome is and right now?
There probably isn't one outside of maybe back to my diving board waiting example. I think it's I'm standing on the diving board. I know I should jump in. There's this little voice in my head that says maybe I should go wade in. That's what's stopping.
That's what's in.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's in your way.
Yeah.
The little voice. That says you're not there. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that feel standing on the diving board now?
Yeah, I think the little voice is still there. I think I'm trying to grapple with to your point, the best possible outcome is people look at it and they say, this works for me. I think what's standing in my way is I probably haven't thought about how do I share it? How do I bring people along? And how do I make sure that they understand that there's as much in it for them as there is for me? Because what's in it for me is actually what's in it for the people that are going to be impacted. My hope is that by having the podcast, by introducing to people in the world, to people like you, because I want to share you because of what you did for me. I want to share Greg because of, the things that I've learned from him. I want to share his books because I think that this is really what I want the community to be, is really just a way to help people tackle their own challenges. I think we're all on our various stages of our, hero's journey. And so I just want the community to be a piece to help them along. To your point, you're probably going to tell me, well, it should also be helping me along. But I want the team to recognize that this is, I've launched this new brand. My big ugly mug's on there. I don't know if you've seen the logo yet. And it's like, oh, is this for Mark or is this for us? And I want them to understand it's actually for community. Back to your sailing club.
Yeah. So it's not for me, it's for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're wondering if that's going to land.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how much control do you have over that?
I have 110% control. I knew you were going to ask me that. Okay.
So I'll go back to the coaching questions. So what else is in your way here? One is the self-perception. One is
I think
What
maybe I
else
just
is in
haven't
your brain?
validated it enough yet. I think that I have gone down this path. I've kind of launched this thing. I've had some great design help. I've shared it with folks like you and others. I probably need to validate it
Mhm.
with a few more people.
Yeah. So what absolutely must happen to go from a me to us?
I need to leave this podcast recording, not before we're done, after we're
There he
done.
goes, folks.
Yeah, I'm like, boom. And
Exit
it's like,
stage left.
who's there? You can be both the interviewer and the interviewee. And
Come on, James.
yeah, hey, James needs help. And I need to validate it. I think I need to validate it with some key opinion leaders. I think I need to validate with some folks that maybe I don't chat with enough in the organization, because we've gotten to a place where, there's, literally this morning I was sitting in my office and a woman came over, approached my office and poked her head in and said, "Are you Mark?" And I'm thinking, oh, we've hired someone else I don't know. And it turns out she's a freelancer. But the moral of the story is, I'm at a stage in my life where I have people working in organizations where I don't really know I know who they are after they're hired, but often, I'm not involved in the process. So I probably need to validate it with people that have been around a long time, people that haven't been around for a long time. What else do I need to do? And then I think a little bit of it is, just putting it out there, like, really tactical, simple example. But I think in the next 24 hours, I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn.
Ooh. Okay. You're going to put it on your LinkedIn. You're going to talk to some other people, start testing. What else?
And then I'm going to ask for feedback. I think I mentioned talking for people. I should be asking for feedback. And
what kind of specific feedback are you going to ask for?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, I was going to ask you to give me some advice on that. And you're going to be like, no.
What do you want to know from people? What do you want to hear back?
I want them to tell me what excites them and what worries them. And I want them to give me even some feedback on where they see opportunities to help community. So I think, some people will give me the truth. Some people will probably give us, back to your point on feedback, some people might not give me their concerns. But I think if they help me understand how we can help community, I might uncover something.
Yeah.
I wish I had a pen so I could be writing these things down right now. Oh, but we're
from
recording
me
this.
to
I can
us.
watch this.
Fortunately, we're recording.
Yes.
Yeah. To make sure it's landing not a me, but a us. What feedback do I need? What will help? Yeah. Feedback, connecting, external connecting on LinkedIn included. What else? Anything else?
I think that's good. I love the switch from me to us. So I know you weren't going to give me advice, but you did give me advice. So thanks.
All right. So
cool.
Which one of these do you want to? It sounds like all three are a go, or any not a go.
It's a go.
We're
good.
All three are a go. Okay. So what will you do within the next 24 hours?
Ask for feedback, change LinkedIn, get people's suggestions on where the community should go, how we can help. I'm going to think of some others.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm having lunch. I'm having lunch today with one of my mentors, even though he's younger than me, but I'm going to bounce it off him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that you need to help? Anyone else that you need their help, like that you want to bring into this?
I think as I get out there and start talking to people, that those other people will merge. Like it'll be like, oh, I should go touch base with this person or that. So I'm going to make a little list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want? Is there anything you would like from me around accountability around any of this?
Give me a call in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I like how you make it a phone call. You can't escape, right? An email, you can just
I love phone calls. I love phone calls.
All right. Simon's going to call MH3 in 2 weeks.
This was great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
So, there we go.
I'm glad we made it. I'm glad that you had a topic and I didn't.
Yeah. No, listen. And I it's so interesting because while I'm sitting here talking to you, I feel like I'm talking to hundreds, if not more at the same time. Let's go back to just maybe a couple interesting wrap-up questions. When you think about, I loved your earlier story about how the tech leader suddenly realized that they were doing 95% of work they didn't need to be doing. What other situations have you had like that? Like, I'd love another story or two where you can be like, this was a big unlock.
Uh, it's so many. Another one of my favorite ones was in the digital banking, kind of customer experience. And it was someone that was so bright, came up as an individual contributor,
Mm-hmm.
and now she was a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And she was used to being Mrs. Fix-It. And she's all positive and happy and get it done. And so people knew that about her. And so people at all levels of the bank would come to her with these crazy things to fix.
Right.
And she was a manager. So she actually was a team, had a team as well. She was so burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started doing Great Coach program together, which is a lot of one-on-one and small group support, she made these changes. One, she gave herself off. First, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not sustainable. First, she gave herself office hours, meaning her team knew the hours that they could contact her, and it was like 1 or 2 hours a day. Right.
Smart.
So that's when the team could come to her, and so she went have 100 emails. Right. They knew they could reach her then. She also practiced a lot is how to respond to request, which is yes, no, or yes and, no and, start negotiating for these requests. And part of that was getting clear on what they were trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. So they would send her a request and I need it by Friday. And where she would usually say yes and work crazy hours to do it, she would come back and be like, what are you trying to achieve? How does this roll up into our roadmap? Does this apply to one of our big rocks? Is there any flexibility on the timeline? Let's talk for 15 minutes so we can align. So with that, she was able to start curating how she spent her brain power, really her time and her brain power. So it was so you don't necessarily think that that's what's going to come out of coaching, right? But it was a way for her to level up in a way that's sustainable, right? She just couldn't be the fixer for everyone's problems. So, and her team, they started having to bring options. Every time they brought a problem, they had to bring at least a couple solutions. And so it just changed her experience of work. Like, work is hard sometimes. Like,
work is hard all the time. Yeah.
This is hard. Is this work? I don't know what this is.
This isn't work. Okay. This isn't work. This is my passion.
Got it.
This is not work.
Good.
But on that theme,
we can have a whole conversation around that. But yeah. So, but it just made it changed from going from burnout, wanting to quit, to actually back to being her brilliant self.
But on that theme, and one of the things you talk a lot about, and Greg has in his book, is changing leaders from being like they're the person with the solution. They're, to your point, I love the expression. I think you called her Mrs. Fix-It. Was that the expression used to describe her?
Yeah.
Give me more insight on how you coach people out of being always having the answers to looking at becoming coaches. Because right where you started this conversation today was about scalability. You can't be a scalable organization if it's filled with Mrs. and Mr. Fix-Its.
I start with the best possible outcome is that you are operating at the level that your brilliance is used. And if you're doing the same things you were doing 2 years ago, you are not operating at your potential. So that's how we look at it. Like if I haven't shown, like, this is everything you're working on, really? How many years have you been doing that thing?
Right.
That's not your work.
Right.
So I get very direct. Like, if you're doing the same things you were doing 5 years ago, you probably aren't, that's someone else's work by now. Right. So I get very direct. Well, I don't even remember what the question was now.
But I was about how you coach people to get out of being the Mr. and Mrs. Fix-Its.
Yeah.
And so what are the person's, but this is my job. Like, my boss won't change. Like, I'm play acting here, but I'm pushing back, right?
Yeah.
So how do you help them go, okay, so let's pause, tackle this for me.
Right. It's not a black and white thing. Sometimes you are the problem fixer if it's your problem to fix. Try it out, give it a try, and see what your team can fix without you. You'll be surprised.
Right.
Like, who are you to say that you're the only one that can fix this?
Yeah.
So people do get wrapped up. It's my identity. I fix all the hard things. Yeah, that's not going to end. You're not going to run out of hard things to fix.
Right.
Just not the ones you already know someone else can do. So part of it is you just have to experience it. And so that's why we do Great Coach. You are supervised by a coach because we know that you will just head right back into problem solving, and you it's a muscle you have to build to not give advice. And you have to have a little faith that the person in front of you has the ability, just like you have the ability, the person in front of you. And they'll surprise you. Actually, most times people come away surprised how functional their team is without them.
Right. Well, and I loved your comment about it's not black or white.
Right.
How do you explain gray to people then? How do you make gray? How do you make it tangible for them? Because people get frightened by gray.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I do a pretty hard rule about no advice, and let them experience, one, how uncomfortable it is and how it works. Because then they start to see the potential of the person in front of them.
Yeah.
So we start there, and then I give them explicit permission. You can ask if they want your advice, if they want some of your ideas, you can ask. And sometimes people do. So it's just, nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
Right.
But we want it
Someone's
to be.
angry. It's just a fact. Like, it's not going to be black and white. Yeah. And it's okay, right? It's part of this, like, we are experimenting and seeing, we're trying this out. There's nothing that's going to fall apart if you're not the perfect coach, right? It's going to get better the better you are at coaching, but just give it a try.
So let's go back to the beginning.
I have one more story. I have one more story. I love this. Okay. So this was a marketing analyst at a bank. Yep. His team comes to him. He, again, is used to fixing everything. His team member comes to him and he says, I need to know where to build, blah, blah, blah. And the leader looked at him and was just, we're going through Great Coach. And he's like, you decide, you know better. You're closer to the work. And he said, I trust you. So the following week, I was talking to this leader. He's like, oh my gosh, my team member is off the charts, just accomplishing things right and left. Because
amazing.
He's like, I thought he knew that. I thought he knew I trusted him. He just had to say it.
I love that.
And mean it. Okay, what were you going to ask?
No, listen, thank you for squeezing that question in. Second last question. The last one's going to be very administrative. But the second last question is, going back to that COO who plucked you and put you in their office. Would you recommend a leader do that today? If they had a young Sina in their organization? And if not, what would you recommend that you've learned from that situation that you'd say this is, because not that it was that long ago, but times have changed a little bit and it's, but you obviously learned a lot. So would you recommend that, or would you recommend that with modification?
I do for the right person.
Got it.
Like, give them a chance to be in the room where these things are happening and see what happens. I mean, Greg, Deborah, and Pat Newman, they've all done that for me since Valley as well. Like, I've seen them facilitate really difficult meetings. I'm just sitting there like, like learning. And so any opportunity, if there's someone that can just shadow you, and give them the exposure of what it's like to be in the room when these difficult conversations, strategy, things are happening, and see what happens. You can't learn it in school, right? Like, you can learn something in school, but you just have to be in the room. So I say go for it. If there's someone that you should just bring them along with you. If they're game, right?
Well, it sounds like you didn't have a choice.
And you have to be ready.
Yeah.
And I mean, officially I did, but I didn't like my other choice of like, I could just do this for another 10 years, or I could just go see what's going to happen. And you have to be ready to give feedback, because that's what's changed my career. Is I feel like I'm cared for because these people give me some difficult feedback.
Amazing.
And that means that they care about me.
I love that. How can people find you? They want to talk to you. They want to learn more. Where should they go?
Yes. Great. The best place to reach me is on LinkedIn at Sina Johnson. I'm also on the Ultra Leadership LinkedIn page as well. But LinkedIn, I think, is the best place to reach out to me.
I love it. Well, listen, everybody probably wants to be in the room with Sina now. I know I've benefited from it. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing.
Are you serious? It's been 45. It's been an hour.
I know, right?
This
I've got this little
by.
timer over here, and I looked at it, and I don't know if you noticed me. I was like, oh, my Lord. We just cracked 40 minutes.
I thought we had just started. Yeah. Like, I thought we still had another half hour.
Why is he kicking me out? Was I not any good? No, it was amazing. It went forever. The production guys are telling me their lunch break. So, I see pails being opened.
We are leaving the building. So I just want to thank you, MH3, just for inviting me. Really, you're the connector. And I don't know if you know this, but you've already jumped off the diving board. Yeah. So I will I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
I think you helped me. I'm now going to take a little wrap-up picture here of us.
Okay.
So I can post something on social. There's the split screen.
All right.
You look great. Well, hey. With all the dock theme and the sailing theme and the Cape Cod theme, I needed a water metaphor. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait. I can't wait to listen to all your other episodes. Yeah. So thanks again.
Thanks.